Hello, everybody. This is Sunil Tulsiani, founder of a Professional Investors Club, and I am today extremely excited to have my good friend, a mentor, person who has changed millions and millions of lives, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Sunil. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And, when it comes to finances, real estate, business, entrepreneurship, I mean, you're the person I truly look up to. And I was very blessed, actually, last year in 2023 to have you and host you in Mumbai, in Goa, India, for our wonderful events. But one of the interesting part, and I want people to hear this, is that behind the scenes, we went to the most expensive, most elite property in Mumbai, and on the same day, we drove down to the slums of Mumbai.
Right.
And I noticed, how you were wanting to go there, and you keep asking question about those people who lived in slums, because I came from slums of India myself. Do you remember what that question that you asked me? What was the question that you kept asking me?
How do we get them out of there?
How do we get the people out of there? I was lucky enough to be able to do that. How do we get people in the slums out of there? And so let's start with that, Robert. What do you say? How do we get these people, whether they live in slums or they're poor, let's say, or they want to become, well, how do we get them out?
Well, it's interesting that we do this talk today because yesterday I was with Mike Tyson, the heavyweight boxer, youngest heavyweight boxer in the world, and he opened his school yesterday in the so-called slums of Phoenix. And slums are slums. It doesn't
Yes.
make a difference where you're at. And I don't know if it's sad or reality, but it's a school for kids. And the slums are already in their heads. If you
Mm.
know what I mean, is that the way you get out is you have to get out of yourself. How you did it, how I did it, and a lot of it's imposed by our parents or environments. So I'm looking at there was probably about 40 kids, most of them colored, of course, not too many white kids, but the poverty is already embedded in their soul. And I was talking to them about, and they're doing their best to get them through reading and writing and math and all that stuff. But as you know, we don't teach anything about money.
Right.
So I showed them this cash flow board game and all that. And I said, you can have fun to learn. And then I held up the financial statement, income, expense, asset, liability comes with this game. And I said, my banker has never asked me for my report card yet. My banker wants to see my financial statement. And I said, you kids will leave school here. You'll never know what a financial statement is. My poor dad, PhD from Stanford, Northwestern University of Chicago, didn't have a financial statement. He didn't know where his money was. And these are the people that are running our Federal Reserve banks and all this stuff. A lot of our academic types don't have personal financials, which this game teaches.
Right.
So the slum is perpetrated, even though they may go attain a higher standard of living because they got a higher paying job because they're a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. They're still in the slums in their heads. And so these kids are just poorer. And, being a minority is not easy and anywhere. And I said to them, I said, look, there's millions of kids all over the world who would trade places with you right now
Yes.
because America's slums are not as bad as the Mumbai slums and all this stuff. They're dangerous, you know, crime, sexual abuse, all that stuff's horrible. So it was interesting that I talked to you today because that was yesterday.
Yes.
I'm looking at the slums of America. It's shocking. It's shocking. It's disturbing.
And just a couple of months ago, I came to Phoenix. We had dinner together and we spent some few hours together masterminding for 2024, 2025. And we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that you was talking about is, your game. Obviously, we all know the cash flow game, and then you introduced something where anyone, for example, online can get access to that game, and I thought that was very exciting and very interesting, and also very a lot of people sometimes say they don't have access to certain things. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think I was moved completely when I saw you.
Well, the game actually is a derivative of this guy here, Branch of Giants by R. Buckminster Fuller. And the reason, Canada's he built the World's Fair, the U.S. Pavilion at the World's Fair of Montreal, Canada. He's an
Yes.
American. So I hitchhiked. I was at school in New York. I hitchhiked from New York to the World's Fair in Canada in Montreal, and went to see his dome there.
Right.
And he opened my eyes. He's considered, John Denver called him the grandfather of the future. He's a futurist. Harvard kicked him out twice, But GRUNT stands for Gross Universal Cash Heist. And
Yes.
the reason that's important is because our banking system steals our wealth. And so when I read this book here, I don't recommend it. It came out in 84, I think. Is our wealth is stolen via our money. So it'd be the Canadian loonie or the US dollar or the peso or the yen. And our school systems are accomplices with the banking system. And so after studying with Fuller for 3 times, 81, 82, and 83, I could hear my rich dad, who never went to school, saying, our school teachers are accomplices to the cash heists caused by our banks. And so that's what changed my life, Sunil. So that's why I created the cash flow board game, and to teach what my rich dad taught me about money, why a financial statement is your report card when you leave school. But I said to those kids yesterday in the slums of Phoenix, I said, most of you have never, don't, you parents don't have a financial statement. You don't have a financial statement. You don't even know what that thing is. So our school systems are criminal. And that's why my whole campaign has been about saying, look, we better start teaching kids about money. And I've been sending you stuff like this. I was teacher at Arizona State University, which is the largest university of America. And I was teaching capitalism, and 39 professors came after me to shut me down.
Wow.
Most professors are Marxists. They're good people, but they're a different economic religion, should I say. Marxism is a religion. Capitalism is a religion. Fascism is a religion. But these 39 professors came after me, and now our Arizona Senate is going after them. And yesterday was a very big day also, or the day before yesterday, because Prager University was just accepted into the Arizona State school system to teach financial literacy to kids.
Wow.
So it's our academic system that's the problem, because fundamentally they're Marxists.
What do you think? I got this question, but what we did was I asked some of my friends and members that we're going to have an interview with Robert Kiyosaki. What do you think that they should be teaching kids today in 2024 in school that they don't teach?
Financial statement.
Financial statement.
That's your report card. I
Yes.
go to my banker, I borrow money, and I can borrow as much as I want. But I have strong financials.
Yes.
My poor dad, PhD from Stanford, University of Chicago, Northwestern, all he had was a report card. So my rich dad, my best friend's father, he says, your financial statement's your report card when you grow up. And
Yes.
most academics have never grown up. They want the state to take care of them. The biggest problem in America today are employees who expect the government to take care of them. They're school teachers, the government workers, police officers, military officers. Everybody's on the system. So you go to school, you get a job, and they'll give you a retirement. That was my poor dad. He says, oh, Oh, good, you'll get a retirement from the state. Well, that's Marxism, but they don't see it that way. I'm a good public servant. But they don't realize the American banking system is a centralized banking system, which is Marxism, which is why I support Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is decentralized banking systems. And that's why a lot of people don't understand Bitcoin and all this stuff, but it's just decentralized banking. You've got to take the power away from the banks and the school teachers.
So how are the banks, you just said that, and I heard you in previous interviews as well. How are the banks stealing your money? How are they doing that?
Interest and inflation
Interest and inflation.
and taxes.
And taxes. And I've heard you saying, of course, you pay very little or no taxes. And of course, you take a lot of people say that that's the bad thing. It's a wrong thing. It's rich. Rich is he's rich and he's not paying taxes. And even for Trump, for example, what do you say to that?
America was founded as a tax-free nation. It was called the Boston Tea Party. Oh, wait, 1748 or something like that, and America's a tax-free nation. So let me read what Karl Marx said. Okay.
Okay.
A heavy or progressive income tax is necessary for the spread of communism. You see, what the communists or school teachers and the bankers need to do, they need to take your money so you feel poor, and then you'll hate the rich. And so that's what you pick up. And I pick up many places. People think they hate the rich. I'm going, well, it's the banks and the school teachers. Interest, taxes, inflation. This guy Biden, I'm not Republican or Democrat, but we have the worst president we've ever seen. His first act as president was to cut the Keystone XL pipeline that ran from Calgary, Canada, to America. So when he cut that pipeline, I'm an oil man. I went to school to sell oil. I drove tankers for Standard Oil of California, highest paid graduates in the world. And so I was selling oil in 2000 for $30 a barrel. Biden comes to office, he cut the pipeline. Oil went from $30 US to 130. I knew exactly what he was trying to do. He wants poverty to go up in America. His second act was to open the borders wide open to bring poor people into America. It is now crushing America. I'm not against immigration, but legal, do it legally. They're
Yes.
flooding across America right now, and that communist Biden and his socialist, what do you call those conservative greeny friends, Green New Deal and all that stuff, the environmentalists, they're killing America with poverty. And as you know, if you study the Russian Revolution and the Chinese Revolution, it was poverty, and so what Biden and his socialist friends want is poverty to increase, so people hate each other. So they blame the rich for their problems when it's really the banking system and the liberals like Biden who caused the problem. I teach people to be rich. You teach people to be rich. We don't want people to be poor, but Biden does.
And there's a big difference between not paying taxes legally versus illegally, and you talk about that a lot. A lot of people just assume because you're wealthy, you're doing it the wrong way or a legal way. There's a difference between tax avoidance and doing it the proper way. Correct?
America was founded as a tax-free nation.
Yes.
And if you understand tax laws are incentives. So if I donate, like just now, I got a crucifix. I'm not Catholic, but I got a crucifix from some nuns.
Okay.
But I donated $25,000 at Christmas to the church. So they gave me $25,000. I got a tax break for that. You know that? I donate charity. He's a crook. He's donating to charity. I build houses. I get a tax break because I build houses. I sell oil. I get a tax break because I sell oil. But for the average person with no financial education who was raised by communists called school teachers, They think people like me are the crooks. It's the school teachers that are the crooks. They don't understand tax. Single largest expense of any human being. Trump doesn't pay tax. I don't pay tax, but we donate a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Robert, I run a elite real estate club, and this question keeps coming back. And I've looked at you, and I spoke with you as well. I've seen your interviews. You know, we keep talking about the upcoming big crash or economic tsunami or something like that. What's your crystal ball says for 2024? I know in 2007, 2008, you predicted the crash. In fact, you went on one of the major news channels, and people laughed at you. And then, of course, that came true. What's your crystal ball for 2024 for people who are asking me this?
Well, you can just go to the Rich Dad website. You can find in 2008, I said Lehman Brothers was going down.
Yes.
And a week later, Lehman went down. So I'm pretty accurate at my calls. And that's
Yes.
why I stuck with Buckminster Fuller here. Bucky Fuller was a futurist. He could see the future. So he taught us how to see the future.
Okay.
So we've already crashing. We're crashing right now. I don't know. 1 year ago, we had three banks: Silicon Valley Bank, Silverado Bank, another bank, and then in November, another bank collapsed in America. We're collapsing. They're laying off tens of thousands of workers as we speak right now. I mean, I think Amazon let off like 25,000 people. And so the banks are crashing and unemployment is going through the roof as we shut down the economy. But the news won't ever report that because the news, as you know, Marxist. New York Times is Marxist. They won't report the truth.
How if the crash is coming, this
It's
question,
here. It's here.
it's here. Okay, crash is here.
Sunil, if you lost your job, how would you feel right now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does a regular person, whether they're entrepreneurs or they want to get into entrepreneurship, learn what you do, maybe real estate, maybe whatever they want to do, how do they take advantage of the upcoming crash? How does a regular person do that? Give us an
I,
example.
I hate that word. You've got to study,
Yes,
If you're broke, it means you're fucking stupid.
right.
That's what I say it to my family all the time. I said, you're broke because you have a college degree and you're stupid. Why don't you study something? And they got angry at me because I have a master's degree. You don't have a master's degree. I said, yes, but I have a financial statement. You see, what happens, Sunil, is this, I'm going to use a swear word here, a condom. You know what a condom is, right?
Yeah.
A college degree gives you a false sense of security while you're getting screwed.
Yeah.
That's what it does to people. So they think, oh, I have a college degree. Well, those 25,000 people, 20,000 got laid off from Amazon. A lot of them had college degrees. How about all those teachers and military officers who are now expecting the government to take care of them because they put in 25 years of service for retirement? What's going to wipe out America is retirement. The baby boom generation, I think there's what, 78 million of us or something, is that most of them have nothing for retirement. And they're the next wave that's going to go on the American payroll because they have to print more money to pay for all the baby boomers without any money. And look at you guys. I mean, you have this guy Trudeau. That guy's a cartoon. I mean, my God, where did they find these guys? So we have Biden, you have Trudeau going, holy mackerel. And Trump is a good friend of mine. And he gets his butt kicked because he doesn't pay taxes. Oh my God.
You talked about the biggest asset of America when I was there a couple of months ago personally, and that's the student debts, correct?
Yeah.
Um, Talk a little bit more about that. There are a lot of students right now coming to me and saying, I want to go to this university and take out like $100,000, $200,000 loan. What would you say to them, when they're thinking of doing that?
Well, what you're talking about is the greatest asset of America today, student loan debt.
Yes.
The guy that pushed that through was that communist named Obama. He made it so easy for all these students to get student loan debt. So all his professor friends from Harvard and those schools like that could get pay raises. And so today, student loan debt in America is $1.8 trillion.
Crazy.
If you counted a trillion minutes is 32,000 years. So we got $1.8 trillion. Thanks, Barack and Biden, you criminals. So now we have students that are deeply in debt, and it's the worst kind of debt because if you and I go broke as real estate guys, okay, let's say I build an apartment house and it goes broke, I just give it back to the bank. But if I go broke with a student loan program, that haunts me for the rest of my life. They don't let you forget that. Thank you, Barack, you criminal Obama. That's what he did. He made it so hard to get out of those student loans, but that's why the banks gave him the money, because it was so hard to get out of the loans. So
Yes.
we punished our own students. Thank you, Barack Obama. And you saw that whole thing with the anti-Palestine, anti-Jewish thing, is anti-Semitic. That was Harvard, MIT, and UPenn. Our top educational institutions are promoting racism, anti-Semitic. Oh my God, what's happened to school?
Talk
Why are we
about
doing this?
Yeah, talk about the U.S. dollar. Obviously, U.S. dollar has been, it's been the currency that people can use all over the world, including, of course, I'm in Canada, United States, India, and different places. I heard, and we talked about what's happening with the U.S. dollar, what's happening with BRICS, for example. What is Talk about that and the impact if the U.S. dollar goes down or it's not as powerful as it is state now from a U.S. point of view, also from a global point of view.
Well, the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world.
Yes.
And that means we can print as much as we want. There's a thing called Triffin's dilemma. That meant every central bank in the world had to stock US dollars. So it was better than gold. The trouble is, America today is the biggest debtor nation in the world, which makes the dollar worth less. So America, as you know, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and a couple other countries, saying they don't want the US dollar anymore because they weaponize the dollar. In other words, if you don't play games with us, we'll cut your money off.
Oh.
And that's what Biden did again. Biden also pulled us out of Afghanistan and left $900 billion worth of equipment there for the Taliban to use. And this guy Biden is a horrible man. And hopefully he and his son and his brother will go to jail pretty soon. But what they've done to America and the dollar, and not only their fault, but America is now in serious financial trouble, which is why people are questioning the dollar. You know, there's a saying by Jordan Peterson. He says, you know, people didn't like Trump because he's a tough guy. Trump's a friend of mine. So he's a tough guy. He says, you think tough men are dangerous? Wait until you see what weak men are capable of. And that's Biden and his brother and Hunter Biden. You know, Donald Trump's two sons, Don Jr. and Eric, are my good friends. They're great kids. You'd be proud of them to have sons like them. You know, I go hunting with the boys. And we were up in upstate New York, and the boys go in the back of we're in a restaurant. Don Jr. and Eric Trump go in the back room and they talk to all the help, all the Mexican, all the illegals up back there. You know, they talk to them, they say hello to them. They're perfect gentlemen. The daughter, Ivanka, is just stunning. And
Yeah.
this guy Biden, oh my God, he tears down the walls, cuts off the pipeline. What else can he do? He withdraws from Afghanistan, gets us into 2 wars. Oh my God, we're in trouble.
Robert, as we finish off this interview, I had a lot of fun with you. In India, we had 5,000 people in Mumbai. Then we had Goa. Then we went to we spent some personal time. We went to see Taj Mahal. And you said it changed you, that trip changed you. Just tell us a little bit about all my Indian followers, friends, connections, and people who love you. In India, by the way, people love you. They love your book, not only this one, but all your books. So tell us a little bit about that, because you personally, behind the scenes, have shared that with me. But let's do this now so they can hear it.
Well, I don't think you're gonna like what I'm saying, but I think Indians are naturally the smartest people on earth. Because you look at this, and I'm going to tell you, you hate this. Americans make fun of India. They say it's always India's time, but they don't do anything. Do you know what I mean? You guys, Indians, all the tech companies want you guys. You have this, I'm horrible with tech. I don't know anything about tech, but it seems to be that the Indian race is naturally designed for this age, the tech age, Bitcoin and Ethereum and the web and all this. But there's something inside the country that holds each other down. So you have the ultra rich and massive poor, but the people are the same brilliant genetic stock. So every time I look at Indians, I said, man, if I had half your brains, I'd be dangerous. I barely use my cell phone. So do you know what I mean? You guys are tech geniuses. How come India, it's coming on now finally, but you guys are, the Japanese are good at making Toyotas, I guess, or Sonys. Chinese are good with money. The Indians are naturally tech smart. The world wants you guys, but the country doesn't fire off for some reason. So that's what I kept looking at it. And that's why, we're talking, when we're inside the slums of Mumbai, I said, how do we get them out of here? And yesterday I was saying the same thing in Phoenix, Arizona. How do we get these kids out of here? Because our schools keep them there. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes, yes. And I was very excited to see you actually walk into the slums, support the shops and buy. And a lot of times we were trying to go to like high-end places. You're like, no, let's just also go to, I want to walk down the street and,
Yeah.
and so it was very exciting to actually see that side of your personal side of you, because very few people get to see Robert Kiyosaki behind the scenes the way I was fortunate enough to. And we asked you where you want to go. Like you said, we went to the most expensive $40,000 per day suite, Tata suite in Taj Mahal hotel. And then the same day we drove down to slums of Mumbai, and you seem to enjoy the slums of Mumbai more for some reason.
Well, I think I felt more at home there. No, I'll tell you honest, Sunil, you embarrass me immensely because of I'm a capitalist. I always want the best deal. I'm always, right now I'm in negotiations. I'm always in negotiations. So you and I were walking in the slums, and this woman was selling leather jackets. And here I get this leather jacket that I'd easily pay $800 to $1,000 for. And she was asking $35 for it. I have the jacket. I wear it all the time.
Good.
And I was trying to negotiate her down from 35 bucks. And you said to me, she said, that's a fortune. Basically, even if I shaved just $2 off, she was already at the limit of what she could afford. But I'm so naturally attuned for the deal, I forgot who I was dealing with. And so I paid full price, and I love the jacket. But every time I wear the jacket, I think of you, Sunil. I said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to be that tough a negotiator. She was just a sweet little old lady selling me a great jacket.
Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
you're very welcome, and thank you for all the friendship and the compliments.
Yeah.
And just 3 months ago, I'm driving around, I get a call from you, and you're like, Sunil, I want you to come by. I want to partner up with you, and that is basically very important to somebody like myself, because you're a big influence in my life. And I've read all of your books. Some of them are right here. Like, I read them, I reread them, and I would say, this book, like you said, is the best-selling book, probably the top 20, is it? Books
It's
that
still it's still #1 after 25 years
crazy. That's
internationally.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and by the way, it was also turned down by every book publisher. No, because they're Marxist. They're like my poor dad. They're all
yes.
professors, right? They said, you can't write and you don't know anything about money. I said, well, maybe it's you that doesn't know anything about money. Maybe I can't write,
Yeah.
but they don't like what I say. I said, savers are losers. The rich don't work for money and your house is not an asset. Those are the 3 rules from Rich Dad Poor Dad. And today, savers are getting crushed because America is the biggest debtor nation in the world, and we're printing trillions now. We put our students in deep, deep financial student loan debt. How dare we? Our school teachers should be, court-martialed or something. Why don't we teach money at school? So that's why yesterday I was with Mike Tyson down in his school in Phoenix talking to the kids. But I saw the same look in their eyes as I saw the kids in Mumbai. They live in a different world than we do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that's in America. And then I was fortunate enough to go see Brian Tracy a few months ago, and in San Diego. And San
Oh,
Diego is like to me, like an upper class, beautiful,
yeah.
amazing place to go. It still is. But as I walked off a certain street,
Oh,
in San Diego, it was like a war zone. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the number of people homeless. Unfortunately, I've seen dirt and so many things. A lot of changes have come to USA, and it saddens me a bit that's what's happening.
yeah. It's just what's happening in America is happening is anyway. When I was in Mumbai, or yesterday I was in Phoenix looking at the kids, the looks the same. These
Yeah.
kids have no idea how they're going to get out of the slum. So that's why I created the cash flow board game. That's why I want to work with you. I'm going to start a network marketing company, and let's teach capitalism throughout the world.
Let's do this together.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It was fantastic getting to know you.
God bless you. Take care.
Bless you.